Hi, everybody. All right, so the day before we all go back home. We continue with our unit on chords. So just a little bit of a recap. If I play this lovely major scale here for you. Okay, so if I don't even tell you what the key is, and I say, I'd like to know where the median note is in that scale. What does that mean? Mateo?
Do the triad and then the third note. That's the median. The median is 3.
Okay. What you said at the end is exactly what I was looking for, Mateo. So if you hear a scale and someone says, what's the median note? The median note is the third note of the scale, right? So if I change the scale, and I tell you that the scale is A flat major, what is then the median note of the A flat major scale? Ethan? C is correct. Does that make sense? So far so good?
Yes.
Okay, right on. So in order to describe bits and parts of music, sometimes you're asked to describe things using words, like tonics and dominants and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes you're asked by number, right? So if someone says, there's the G major scale. What is the 7th note of the scale? That should immediately ring some information into your ears. Julian,
It's G major.
we're in G major.
You want to know the 7th?
I want to know the 7th note of the scale.
F sharp.
That is correct. No problem, come on in.
Hey guys, hello. Quick announcement from Mr. Pretty.
Yeah, bring her back.
Just want to make
Bring her
reminders.
back.
Rehearsals on as usual, and you will have Mr. Mod. So it was nice singing with you guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Timothy. Aiden. Okay, so just off the tops of your heads, just off the top of your head, you're able to give me really nice, quick information.
That's good.
Using key signatures, we do the same thing, right? So if I give you the following key signature, and I say, okay, we are in the key of F major, let's say. The sub-median note of the F major scale should immediately ring some bells. Ben, sub-median note in F major.
A flat.
A little higher.
No, wait. It is, okay,
That's the median note. I want the sub-median.
G.
Okay. Logan, how did Ben do such a thing? How did Ben figure that out?
Wait, I was right, I guess.
Yeah, you're right. So D is correct. Why is it correct? Word the question in a different way. So the question was, what is the submedian note of F major? What would be another way to ask that question without using the word submedian? And by answering that, that's the way Ben figured it out. Yes, Logan? Say again? What's the inversion? Let's think of maybe an easier way. You're kind of right. It is kind of like an inversion of it, but I'm looking for an easier way to ask the question.
What's the 6th note?
Bingo. What's the 6th note of the scale? Right? Okay, so all this information you guys already know. All right? So all we're doing now is we're layering on top of this a few extra notes to make triads, right? So if the question is then, what is the sub-median triad in F major? Sub-median triad, there's a lot of information packed in there, right? Triad is going to imply 3 notes, right? 3 notes, not 2, not 4, just 3 notes. You might also get additional information about a position. root position, first inversion, second inversion. Why is there no third inversion? Why is there no third inversion
For like the,
for a triad?
okay, because it can just go back to the root. Because there's no room to go any further.
That's right. Since you only have 3 notes, right? Each note can only be the bottom note once. So if there's only 3 notes, that's root inversion first, root first, and second inversion. Only 3 possibilities. When is there another possibility? I'm just kind of jumping ahead of myself here a little bit. When is there a third inversion? Logan? When is there a third inversion? I'm kind of foreshadowing what's going to happen a little later in the unit here. Sorry? In what type of chord could there be a third inversion? Timothy? Sorry?
No, Logan.
All right, call it. Go.
Dominant sevenths and diminished sevenths.
A 7th chord. A 7th chord. So a 7th chord has 4 notes. When you have 4 notes, a third inversion is possible. Anyway, getting back to our submedian triad here, right? Okay, so I got to unpack a bit of information. The submedian triad, root position. Triad, I know there's going to be 3 notes. The submedian, you know what scale degree that is in scale, right? What was that again, Tiago? A submedian is which scale degree? Look at Martin's fingers. Submedian is the 6th note of the scale, right? So somebody already gave that to me. It was D. I think it was Ben.
Yeah.
Since now I'm asking for a submedian triad, I just don't want 1 note. I want 3, right? And that's when the root position becomes, or first inversion or second inversion becomes important, right? When you're in root position, you simply add a third, done. Okay? When, do you remember from the quiz that we did? When would you have to potentially change an accidental? Would it be a major key or a minor key? Martin?
Oh, but when it says, on the test when it says dominant harmonic or something?
As soon as you're in a minor key, and in the question, there's a little section that says harmonic form, right? You know that when you're playing a minor scale, you need to raise some notes from time to time, right? In a harmonic scale, you raise the 7th. Yes, Logan?
Is there such thing as a chromatic triad?
A chromatic triad? No. I think there are only a few possibilities in a triad. I think we know all of them because there can only be so many. I guess there's a lot of theoretical possibilities, but the ones that are the most common are the major, minor, augmented, and diminished triads. You know. I think the word chromatic gets used for other things, such as scales or melodies, harmony to a certain point, like this. Something like that, where you are moving chromatically using larger forms. Hey, sir.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to know if at the end of your class, you guys as a group can vote on which egg you like the best since we're not in tomorrow.
Which egg?
Which egg, yeah, each grade gets to put forward 1 egg. You
Call it!
can do that at the end of the day, sir, after your lesson. Just hold each one of them up and see
Okay,
which one
come
they
on, mine is the winner. It's gotta
I'll be
say
back at
something.
3.
What? You have to pick one.
Okay.
I didn't
So-
do one. Should I record everything you put it down?
This, I present to you, is your root position chord. Root position, how on earth would I know what the quality of this triad? Another word that gets thrown around there, quality, right? When we were dealing with intervals, the quality it was used for determining, is it a minor third, major third, diminished third, augmented third, etc., etc. Guys, do you need to take those away? Mateo?
Calculator.
Giggle, giggle.
This is the calculator. Oh,
Somehow even the mere simple calculator is skewing your good
So
judgment.
distraction. So distraction.
Okay, so how on earth do I determine the quality of this triad? And when I ask for the quality of a triad, what am I asking for? What does quality mean? Does it mean first inversion, second inversion? Does it mean that, Julian?
No, I think it means like sharp or like a major, minor, augmented, diminished.
Exactly, exactly. One of the homework questions, Timothy, are you distracted too?
He's got a calculator here to take away.
I'm not.
How do I determine the quality again of triad? Richard, how do I determine the quality of a triad? Okay,
Oh.
Cole?
Alright, so, count the winter Redstone chart that we wrote down.
Mateo? I can't hear Cole.
You can count the stems.
Between what and what? Exactly. Between the root and the third and the third and the fifth.
Or you can just play it on piano, because you can get the reason.
That would be ideal, right? But you're not always near an instrument to be able to do that.
Yeah, like right at the top.
But good point. Absolutely. You could just play it and you could just listen for the quality. Okay. So this is root positioning. If I want to change it into an inversion, like I said, there's only two other options, right? First inversion and second inversion. So first inversion simply changes the position of the bottom note. So in root position, as long as your chord is stacked into thirds, into skips, right? The bottom note's always the root. The bottom note's always the root. However, in first inversion, it's not the D that is going to be at the bottom. It's going to be the F that's going to be at the bottom. The D shoots up. Mateo, it's very distracting trying to explain this with you talking. So here I've got my root. In this situation, I have my third. And then here, in this situation, I have my fifth. So this is where things get a little bit confusing. You got to try to keep things very clear for yourself. Because it's very, very easy to get a little bit confused here with all of the terminology that's being thrown around, right? If you're looking at a second inversion triad, the bottom note is the fifth, right? So that's a lot of information packed in there. When you're in first inversion, which note of the triad is at the bottom, Aiden? When you're in first inversion, which note do you see at the bottom? No.
You should do. It's right there, see? Oh, E.
The third of the triad. Exactly. So now this gets a little bit more challenging as you see these things on paper. So I wanted to do a few examples with you guys on page 63. So please turn to page 63. Please turn to page 63. Timothy? Colin, have you got your book? Have you got your workbook? Okay, so we're gonna skip questions 5 and 6 for now. skip 5 and 6. That layers on even more information than I want to go into today. So we're going to be on questions 7, 8, and 9. We've already talked about some of these things, but now there's going to be inversions thrown in. Now the nice thing about these exercises is that everything is in close position, not open position. Tell me the difference between close and open position again. Martin.
I think close is when they're all on top of each other. And then open is when you play the notes after each other.
You're describing the difference between harmonic and melodic.
There you go. These are the differences.
Ethan. What's the difference between close position and open
So
position?
like the close are like close together, and the open are like off the line.
Good description. So, your root position chord in close position, all of the notes of the triad are as close to each other as possible, right? In open position, as long as my D is the lowest note, then all the other notes in the triad can be spread out over a large space. Right? So in these exercises, we are only dealing with close position. Very, very handy. Very helpful. A little bit easier. Okay, so please read the questions very carefully, whether or not you need to use
Sorry
key
to interrupt, sir. Logan's egg does not count. Just enough.
Come
You can all
on.
vote for Logan's egg.
What?
It's so artistic.
What is it? What is it?
Okay.
The water bottle.
So, please read the questions very carefully. In question 7, you're using key signatures. In question 8, you are not using key signatures. You're using accidentals. 7A. We are in F major, so please add in your time signature. Not time signature, key signature. Yep, we have the key signature of F major. So pop in one flat, please. And then the supertonic triad of E of F. Okay, so supertonic. The supertonic triad is built off the supertonic note. The supertonic is the second note of the scale. Therefore, William, what is the supertonic of F? The supertonic note of F is G, right? Second note of the scale. Okay, so I'm just going to put it off to the side. G. Then I just need to add a skip using the key signature and a skip. Now, if this was root position, all that would have to happen right now is popping in G on that first line, adding the B flat, adding the D, and done. We are not in root position, we're in first inversion. Therefore, which note belongs at the bottom of my triad here? Is it the G, the B flat, or the D? If we're in first inversion,
Oh my god!
if we're in first inversion, which of the notes belongs at the bottom? Is it the G, the root, the B flat, the third, or the D, the fifth? Martin?
The flat, the third.
Yes. So, the third goes at the bottom of your triad. Mateo, you copying this out?
I literally just came back here. I'm very extra.
All right. So, remember, we're in close position. We're in close position. Therefore, I'm just going to go to the next available note in the triad. So what's my next available note? After the B flat is the D. And then comes my G. Could you have a different order above the B flat? Yeah, you could. But then it wouldn't be close position anymore. It would be open position. Make it as easy as possible. Okay, next one. I've got the dominant triad of E flat major in root position. Oh, an easy one. An easy one. Okay, Mateo. If we're in E flat major, what's my dominant note in the key?
So E flat.
Mateo. What's the answer?
Nothing.
Excuse me?
What? I didn't hear what you said, that's right.
Yeah.
No wonder.
Okay, so we're in the key of E flat major.
Okay.
I'm looking for the dominant note in the key of E flat major.
E flat. So E flat. Is it A sharp or A flat?
No. A flat would be the subdominant.
Oh, so it's a B.
B,
Flat.
B flat.
I said E sharp is the same thing.
It's not.
It's not.
There's no A sharp in the key of E flat major.
This is a type of A.
Yeah.
Okay, so if E flat is my dominant, I simply build a triad based off of that. Nathaniel, is there anything else to do? Can I just now put the E flat as my bottom note and just add the G and the B flat? Or do I have to do something else? I forgot, you don't have your exercise book. Okay, so Timothy, is there anything else to do beyond adding the E flat, G, and B flat now onto the staff?
No, really.
Why? Because in the question, what?
Yep.
Because in the question, there's a piece of information that means I'm done. All I gotta do is add it into the staff. Jordan,
It's in root position.
you got it. So the question says root position. I don't have to go and now look for the third or the fifth, right? I'm gonna put the root as my bottom note.
Wait, what? But it's in oh.
What key are we in?
With the dominant B flat.
Oh yeah, we're in E flat major. Pardon me, my bad. Sorry guys.
Yes, I got it.
There we go. The dominant triad in E flat major is not E flat, G, B flat. It is B flat, D, F. And since Jordan said that we're in root position, all I gotta do now is put the B flat at the bottom. And then add my D and my F above that. And done. No inversions. Nothing further to do. Okay. Next type of question. Number 8. The leading tone triad of A major in root position. The leading tone triad in A major, root position. Okay, so no key signature, just accidentals. If you find it handy to write out the whole scale so that you know exactly what's going to be sharp and what isn't, that's up to you. But my seventh note in A major, which it happens to be the leading tone, is what?
Sharp.
G sharp.
I'm not an idiot, so I wasn't giving you that. I wasn't thinking about it.
Okay, so my leading tone is in A major, G sharp, and then I simply add my thirds above that. So I got G and I got D. Aiden, explain to me why only the G is sharp and not B or D. I can't hear you. There's too much talking. Cole, Timothy. Well, I'm not asking about the quality of the triad. What I'm asking is, why are the D and the B not sharped? Why is the G the only one in that triad that has a sharp in front? Exactly. Okay, root position, right guys? All right, so all I gotta do, I'm in treble clef, add my G, my B, my D, make sure the G's got a sharp in front of it, the end. All right? Okie dokie. So, next one. The mediant triad of F minor harmonic form in first inversion. Wow. Such a mouthful, no? So much information there. Okay, so the median triad. Okay, so I'm in an F minor. What's the key signature of F minor?
But they're 4
4 flats. All right. So my median note in the key of F minor. F, G. Cool. A flat is correct. Okay, so I'm just going to build my triad. I always do this, guys. I don't know if you've noticed. Even if I'm going to do an inversion, I start with root position. Figure out root position first. Then if you got to change things into a different position, then do it after. First, always just start in root position. So, the median in F minor is A flat. Thank you, Cole. So I'm just going to write out the letters up here, just to C and E flat. Okay, I'm going to pop those guys in here. Okay, if I give this solution on a quiz or on a test, Timothy, I will penalize you for 2 marks, for 2 separate reasons. Tell me what those reasons are. I've written out what I believe is the median triad in F minor. There are 2 errors. There are 2 errors. Tell me what they are. Nate, give me one of them.
First inversion.
Thank you. So first inversion, because this is a nice root position triad, I got to change things around. I got to make sure that my third of my chord, is at the bottom. Okay, so I solved that problem. What I have in front of you now is first inversion. There's still 1 error.
Oh, it has to be an harmonic form.
Exactly. So that little piece of information in the question, harmonic form, affects what note, Cole?
It affects the E flat.
It affects the E flat. What do I need to change it to?
You gotta make it 1 semitone higher, so
Exactly. Okay, please don't fall into the trap. Some of you did this on the previous 2 quizzes. William, are you able to pay attention? William. Some of you did this on the quizzes. As soon as you know that you have to sharpen something, please be careful if you are sharpening a note that's already flat. Some of you just want to add the sharp, no matter what the note is. But sometimes the note that's flat, when you raise it by a semitone, as Cole demonstrated, does not become E sharp, it becomes what? E natural.
Wait. Oh yeah.
Okay, does that make sense, guys? Does that make sense? When you're sharpening something, you have to be careful that if you have a flat, it becomes a natural, right? It becomes a flat, it becomes a natural, not a sharp. Okay, so this is now correct. This is now correct. We move on to question 9. Question 9, please flip the page. Question 9. Flip the page, please. Question 9. Okie doke. So, here I'm asked a few different things. You see, I shall play it for you just because.
Oh, that's
Okay. Why, Richard, why is the root of this triad F? Why is the root of the triad F? Why is the root of this triad F? Why is it not A or C sharp? Sorry, I can't hear you. Okay. Eugen, why is the root F? Well, it's not really minor, but of this chord, of this triad that you see here, F, A, C sharp, why is F the root? It just is. Well, you need to find a better way of explaining that.
It's the key.
Neil.
Is it in root position?
Exactly. When your notes are arranged in thirds, when your notes are arranged in thirds like the way they are, then that becomes root position. If your notes are in an arrangement where it's not third, that's not root position. So when your notes are arranged in thirds, like they are here, the bottom note is the root. When your notes are in thirds, or in skips if you prefer, then you're in root position. Therefore, the bottom note's the root, the middle note's the third, the top note is the fifth. Okay? Then, the quality of the chord. Okay, we didn't have to deal with that in the previous question, right? Okay, so now, how do I determine the quality? Matthew.
Semitones, and I did it. Can I say what I got?
Sure.
So I got augmented because there are 4 semitones between each note.
Exactly. Okay, so write that down, please. Augmented. Augmented. You could put AUG. You can also put a plus sign if you want. A plus sign is used often to describe an augmented triad. Okay? AUG if you want to be like really, really clear, but a plus sign also works. Okay? Okie doke. So we have one more question. Position. Position is asking for, is this root position first inversion or second inversion? We already decided that this was root position, right? Why? Because all the notes are in thirds. Next question. Yet again, another root position chord, because now we have notes again, all in thirds. Because all the notes are in thirds, this is root position again, therefore the bottom note has to be the root. So what is the root? It's D. The quality, as you might have surmised, is a little bit scarier than the previous one. The distance between the bottom note and the middle note and the middle note and the top note are all minor third,